What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So on Wednesday morning, we got revealed the cast for season 50 of Survivor, and a controversial-ish list in terms of people very excited about some players that are on the list, and other people not so excited about people that were included on the list, and players who were left out of the cast for Survivor season 50. And obviously, over the last handful of days, this list had kind of been floating out there. There was a handful of lists. Some of them were completely wrong. Some of them 90, 95% right. I believe there was one of them out there that had this full list exactly pegged. So some of these we've had a couple days to sit on before the actual official reveal of the cast for Survivor 50. Now, obviously, right now, if you just go online, you see a majority of the people do not like the list. And I think that that's kind of an overreaction, because I would say, at least for me, 98%, 97, 98% of the list I'm okay with. There's like only like one or two players. It's like, okay, I'm good if I'm good if I don't see them on my screen again. For the most part, the list is players that I would enjoy coming back and seeing. Is there some different decisions that it's like, hey, maybe would tweak this, and we'll kind of get there as we go through the list of all a record-setting 24 cast members. We're going to be on 50, so that's also something very cool. But some names that it's like, I want to see them play again. Maybe we could have given a little bit more time or different spots, in maybe a couple seasons for another returnee season. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we're going to go through all the names, just a brief recap of their time on Survivor to this point, and then, kind of what we're looking forward to them here on this season. But before we do jump in, if you could, just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more Survivor content on the channel. We're going to do here still kind of working through. I'm actually rewatching some of the seasons of Survivor, the New Era seasons, even though they are fairly fresh, but just rewatching a couple to finalize my list of the seasons ranked of the New Era from 41 through 48. Gonna have that out here. Want to have that out here very soon. Going to rank those as well. Could have a couple other Survivor rankings during the summer as well. As we move towards, we still have Survivor 49. We still have almost not a full calendar year, but close to a full calendar year before we even see this season 50 cast on our screens. We still have Survivor 49 in the fall. We'll have previews for that coming up later in the fall as we get closer to the premiere of Survivor 49. Then we'll have previews and predictions for the whole season as well as we get closer to the premiere date. So just make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. All right, so let's just start out at the top. And this is the order that Jeff revealed them on CBS on Wednesday morning. And I really loved the setup that Jeff had revealing all these names as well. Thought it was really cool. So let's go in. Jenna Lewis-Dougherty played in the first season of Survivor. Felt like you had to have someone from the first season of Survivor. Feel like Jenna's a good representation there. Also played on All-Stars. Finished 8th place her first time playing, 3rd place in Survivor All-Stars. Now I am curious how Jenna will interact with, obviously you can say this about the first four or five names on this list, but Jenna, she obviously played in the first season, so that will have been 49 seasons prior to season 50. She last played on All-Stars, so another good 40-something seasons prior since she's played. So that's a good 20-something years since she's last played. So how will she ingratiate into the new era game of Survivor? I know there definitely will be twists. Obviously, we voted on some of them during Survivor 48. So I'm curious how she will ingratiate herself into an alliance to further herself in this game. If I really can say the same thing, I'm going to say the same thing for all of these new era players if they are, wanting to go like, hey, let's stick old school, players, or if she will use any previous connections, Obviously, I think the only other person on this list that she will have played with will be our next contestant that we will talk about here, which we'll just jump right in. Colby Donaldson, first played in Survivor second season, the Australian Outback, finished in 2nd, then played in All-Stars as well, finished in 12th, and then Heroes vs. Villains finished in 5th place. So for both of these players, obviously Colby did play in Heroes vs. Villains season 20, so about 15 or so years ago. Last time he played, but again, 39 or 49, should I say, 48 seasons since he first played before he hits the beaches for Survivor 50. So for both of these players, for Jenna and for Colby, how they will ingratiate themselves. Will they be more kind of old school of like, hey, let's get in the alliance of old school players, how we played in the OG old era, if you will, original era of Survivor, going into this new era game of Survivor, or and how they will do, or will it be kind of like a fish out of water? I don't know. That's why I'm excited to see these new players, and I think both Jenna and Colby are a incredible representation of the first couple seasons of Survivor. So I'm very happy with those two players getting the chance to come out here on 50, and think they were good choices. Next up, we jump ahead a couple seasons. Stephanie LaGrossa Kendrick first played in Palau, finished in 7th place. Then in Guatemala, finished in 2nd place. Then 19th place in Heroes versus Villains. But this is another player that I am curious to see. I think she's someone that we could see ingratiate herself well into a, say, middle school / new era school alliance. And if she can do that, then I feel like she can probably go far in this game with this cast. I think it all depends, like a lot of things do, on what tribe dynamics are like, what they get on, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be 3 tribes. So I think, depending on other previous relationships of other survivors that we'll get to here as we move farther down the list in terms of multiple players from the same season, I think Stephanie could find herself in a good alliance to kind of sneak through and go far in this game. So Stephanie LaGrossa Kendrick coming back out for her 4th time. And next up, a Survivor legend in and of herself, Cirie Fields. Reality TV legend, really, in all. This will be her 5th time playing Survivor. She is playing Survivor Australia versus the World as well later this year as well. She's won The Traitor. She's been on Big Brother. She's been on anything, imaginable in terms of reality TV. And she's a legend. Jeff said it when revealing her name as well. But this will be her 5th time playing Survivor here. First played in Panama, Exile Island. Finished in 4th place. Then Micronesia, Fans versus Favorites. Finished in 3rd place. Heroes versus Villains, 17th place. Then Game Changers. Had that incredible, first ever, no one to vote for except herself, going out there in 6th place in Game Changers. So leave it to Cirie to go out in a way that Survivor has never seen before. But listen, she's incredible every time she comes out. And she's also part of one of the most popular, notorious, dominating alliances in Survivor history from Micronesia, Fans versus Favorites. That Black Widow Brigade alliance and, steamrolling their way to the end of this game. And Cirie is someone who, I think this can go one of 2 ways. I think this will be kind of either go kind of like Heroes versus Villains, where, she's looked at as this big threat and people want to get her out because they know the type of game that she plays and, that she is, very good at this game. So they'll want to get her out. Or people will want to play with her because they know her. She's one of the more incredible players to ever play Survivor. So they'll want to be attached to Cirie and play with her. And she can sneak far in this game again, as she does. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're at the finale. Cirie's still here. She's knocking on the door. And maybe the 5th time will be the charm for Cirie, and I genuinely do hope so. I think she's someone who, as we said, has been close in her 4 appearances, has finished in the top 6 more than half of those times. 4th, 3rd, and 6th place as well. Had a 17th place in there, but that's kind of the outlier here. So I do think that Cirie will go far in this game because I haven't seen anything throughout her Survivor playing career that doesn't, make me believe that she can very well ingratiate herself into any group that she is thrown into in this game. So Cirie Fields coming back out for a 5th time here on Survivor. Next up, Ozzy Luce. Going to be his 5th time playing as well. First played in the Cook Islands, where he got 2nd place. 9th place in Micronesia, Fans versus Favorites. 4th place in Survivor South Pacific. And then 12th place in Game Changers. Now, obviously, one of the original, which you can say this about Colby as well. These are kind of 2 of the original challenge beasts, if you will. And I'm excited to see. Not calling Ozzy old by any stretch of the imagination. But listen, this has been Game Changers, probably a good, 7-8 years since Game Changers at least. Can't do that math off the top of my head. But it's been a little bit since he's last played, and obviously, quite a while since his first time playing. But I'm curious to see now. Not saying he still won't do good in challenges. He will still do good in challenges. He'll still be fit. He'll still be, one of the more athletic guys out there. But I'm curious if, kind of what other parts of his game, social alliances, whatnot, will people want him in this game now? Because that was kind of always the draw. We saw him even coming back in South Pacific. It was like, oh, Ozzy, he's a challenge threat. We don't want him out of there. But then, was able to stay in the game for a long time. Eventually did, go out in 4th place. But, I'm curious if, him not playing for a little bit here and see kind of what the reception of Ozzy is. I do actually think, a lot of this obviously depends on what the tribe dynamics are in terms of what, kind of, other players he is put on a tribe with. But I do think Ozzy is someone that I could see going out, early because they know how dominant he is if he gets to the individual portion of this game and can just roll off these individual wins. Same could be said for Colby as well. But, kind of new era, I think, that's something to watch for, depending on what tribe dynamics he gets thrown into. Next up, Benjamin Coach Wade. This will be his 4th time coming out. First played in Tocantins, got 5th place. Heroes versus Villains, 12th place. And then South Pacific, he got 2nd place. So Coach coming out for his 4th time. I am curious what type of game he will play, if he will be kind of more of the old school way, like old school is the best school, like try to keep, old school players together. I could see him kind of going that route. I'm not sure how he would ingratiate with new era players. I am curious to see that dynamic and see how he interacts with someone like, we'll get to him later, but someone like Q. I know that's been talked about. Cannot wait to see, hope we see that interaction on the island. I hope that they're either on the same tribe or they're both on the island long enough to see that interaction. But I am curious. And also, I have seen the videos resurfacing, obviously, throughout the day since, this cast has been announced. Someone else, we'll get to him later. But Charlie, they have met, and majority of these players have met for the most part, especially players that have played, 10, 15, 20 seasons ago, been at events, watch parties, as Jeff said, charity events. They know each other, so there is existing relationships out here. But Charlie has met Coach, and, with Ben touring and, his performances and whatnot, Coach has been there. So that's something to watch out for, but just something to mention there. So Coach coming back out for a 4th time. Next up, Aubrey Bracco, playing for her 4th time, finished in 2nd place in Kaurong. Game Changers finished in 5th place, and then Edge of Extinction, 16th place. Now, Jeff even said that she's one of the master strategists of Survivor, and really, really good gameplay, a really good strategist, as Jeff said, but that is kind of something that got her out early in Edge of Extinction. So I am curious. It has been a little bit since Edge of Extinction. Not that people would have forgot her, but if she will kind of change up her game a little bit to, not that games have to be drastically changed in this new era, but it is a different game. But I do think those, qualities from Kaurong and Game Changers, and that got her voted out early in Edge of Extinction because of her threat level, is something to watch out for going into this season. And I think kind of same thing I said with Suri and Ozzy is if people think she's too big of a threat, she's too big of a social strategic threat, then I think this is someone who can go out early in this game. But if players are willing to give her a chance and, maybe she's able to kind of hide herself in a, if she gets put on a tribe with maybe, as I kind of mentioned earlier, she gets put on a tribe with, multiple players from the same season and they kind of want to get each other out because they don't want multiple representatives from the same season, or other tribe dynamics start to develop, then hey, she can sneak by and she can sneak far in this game again. But I'm curious to see how she adjusts. Next up, Chrissy Hoffbeck from Survivor Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers. Now, she lost to Ben in the final tribal council that time. She did finish in 2nd place, though. But like saying, this is our first only single-time player coming back to Survivor, so I'm excited to see how Chrissy does out there. Next up, another single-time Survivor player, Christian Hubicki. Played in Survivor, David vs. Goliath, finished in 7th place. And I think he was a very likable player when he was out there. I think production obviously really would want him out there. Obviously gave us some really good moments on TV, so checks the box for production, and I think he's someone that a lot of people can just get along with. And I think that'll serve him well in this game. To get far in this game, can he make the moves necessary to win him this game, I think is the question. Because I definitely think he'll be able to have the relationships throughout this game to get him far. It's just, can he capitalize on that and make the moves to win this game? Next up, a player that, when you're doing a list of returning Survivor players, she had to be 1 or 2 on the checklist for we want / need her back, and they got her back. She's still waiting on her jacket, though. That is Angelina Keeley coming back again from Survivor, David versus Goliath. She finished in third place that season, but provided countless iconic moments throughout that season. The aforementioned Natalie, can I have your jacket moment? Yes, still lives on in Survivor history, but excited to have Angelina back out onto this cast. And I think this is someone also that a lot of players will want to play with as well. So I think that she can set herself up into multiple ways to go far in this game. Next up, another Survivor, David versus Goliath contestant, and another person who was in the final three of that season. This would be Mike White, who finished in second place. Obviously, with the White Lotus and everything popping off over the last couple years, obviously well known outside of the Survivor world right now. He had other stuff beforehand coming into Survivor, but definitely well known from that over the last couple years, and even having Survivor contestants on the White Lotus as well. So Jeff even kind of said, they even asked him on the CBS morning show, it's like, is that like strategy or something? Jeff said, like, don't think that Mike didn't think about this. Like, hey, I'm a buddy up next to Mike White so I can get on the next season of the White Lotus. Like, I'm curious if any of that talk will make the show or that we'll see any gameplay. I wouldn't put it past players, but I don't know. I'm curious. Next up, Rick Devens from Survivor Edge of Extinction, where he finished in fourth place. Got taken out by fire that time in the fire-making challenge there at the Final Four. Now, this is a player who had a really good end of the game. He had a good game in general, overall. But by the time you got to the end of the game, he was viewed as the biggest threat in this game. And that is why Chris Underwood put himself into fire to take out the biggest threat in this game, to give himself more, jury clout, I guess, if you will. And that's kind of what started another whole new wave. It's like, do I put myself into fire to get out a big threat? But Rick Devens had an incredible end of the game, finding idols, fake idols, winning challenges, and he's a very good talker as well. So I'm excited to see him get on the beach with these other returning players and how he ingratiates himself as well. I'm curious if people will see him as too big of a threat with how he finished, or if he's able to get in a good alliance and people want to, kind of use that mystery of how he finished that game of, finding idols and winning immunities. If people want to team up with him to kind of use him as a shield to kind of keep around in this game, and then it's like, hey, we always have him as a shield and then get him out. Not the big like buff shield like someone will get to, or Ozzy or Colby, but someone who has proved they are, scrappy to win immunity or to get immunity idols, to win immunity challenges. So I am curious what the dynamics towards Rick Devens will be like heading into the season. Next up, speaking of incredible challenge beasts, kind of the new era one, and this is one that you kind of expected when they're including new era players, simply because, not to discount other parts of his game, but he's definitely the most dominating physical player of the new era, and probably all time. One of, probably 2-3 best challenge beasts of all time in Survivor. That would be Jonathan Young. Played in Survivor 42, finished in fourth place, and obviously, as we just kind of alluded to, one of, if not the best challenge competitors to ever play this game. So you kind of had to have a new era, Colby, Ozzy challenge beast come into this season. So Jonathan, it fits the bill for that to come in to Survivor Season 50. Next up, we have financial analyst Emily Flippen coming in from Survivor 45, where she finished in 7th place. And really, honestly, it's like her turnaround in Survivor 45 was absolutely incredible. She was someone who looked like she was going to be one of the first couple boots out of the game. By the end of the game, she was one of the more iconic players of the new era, and she still is to this day. So I'm excited to see Emily out there, and I'm curious to see, I think we will, if we see her kind of second half gameplay for this whole game and where that can take her in this game. Next up, another player from Survivor 45, and in my opinion, one of the, probably, I'll have this ranking out soon, but off the top of my head, probably definitely top 2-3 winners of the new era. That would be Dee Valadares, the winner of Survivor 45, and I think she's one of the strongest winners of all time as well. The game that she played, have to go through and really look at everything to give that, but definitely I think of the new era, I don't see myself ranking her past 2 or 3 of the new era. And she very well could be just one. She was one for a while, but there has been some really strong winners, 46, 47 as well to throw in there. And that's not discounting the other new era seasons to look at as well. Jam Jam as well, Marianne, Erica. But D coming back, I'm curious with our first winner here. We have 2 winners. Kind of a spoiler alert for one of the other players coming up here, but I'm curious how a winner coming on to this season of Survivor will do. It's like, hey, you just won 5 seasons ago. Do we want you out there? So can she? We saw what she was able to do in 45. Will she be able to do that and control the game that she was the way in 45 with players who have played, have played multiple times, or even the players that have just played one time, but Survivor veterans, if you will, not, players first on the beach. So I'm curious to see how she'll be received. I think she's someone who will either be taken out early because she is such a big threat and a recent winner, or someone who can get in an alliance and kind of control things the way she did in 45 and how she wants the game to go. Next up, we move to Survivor Season 46, and this is another player who, as soon as you announce you're doing a returning season, player at the top of your list to call back, and that would be Q, Contavious Burnett. And he finished in 6th place on his season of Survivor, but provided countless iconic moments throughout the season. You have the Q skirt, you have canceling Christmas, you have Big Mistake. I mean, a producer's absolute dream coming back out onto the beaches of Fiji. And he did have some good strategic moments. Like, yes, we see all these crazy moments from Q throughout the season, but he did have some incredible strategic moments as well throughout the season, and had, good alliances. Not that they all panned out or that he didn't jump ship on some of them or other players didn't jump ship, whatever. But, I mean, this was a no-brainer to get Q back out there for Survivor Season 50. All right, next up, another player from Survivor 46, one of my favorite players of the new era and arguably of all time for me, Charlie Davis, who finished in 2nd place in Survivor 46. Now, yes, from the surface level, I enjoyed Charlie because we both share a love for Taylor Swift, but from his Survivor gameplay strategy, I think he played a really, really good game. He had a number 1 in Denise, who eventually did try to turn on him, but he got the last laugh in that one. Was able to make it to the final tribal council, and he actually got taken to the final tribal council as well, due to his relationships throughout the game that he made. But I feel like he did a very good job throughout the season in giving himself different avenues to give himself a path to the end. And he was able to execute it and go to the end with a good group that he felt like he had a good chance with. I mean, he lost $1 million by essentially 1-2 votes. Like, it wasn't like he made it to the finals and then lost by 5 votes. And he lost to a deserving winner, and he even said that afterwards, that Kenzie was a deserving winner. And she was, but I am excited to see Charlie get a second chance coming back out on to this Season 50 of Survivor. Another player from Survivor 46 who finished in 8th place, that would be Tiffany Irvin. Another player from the new era that I am really excited to see come back out and play for Survivor 50. I thought she was a really good player in her season of Survivor. I felt like she did kind of get hampered, was on a tough tribe, even though it's an iconic tribe, to start her season of Survivor. And then I feel like kind of just during the course of the merge, she was a big threat. That's why she went out at 8 as well. So I'm curious with all these other threats in the game as well, if she can keep her threat level low, I think Tiffany is definitely someone to watch to go very far in this game. Next up, and this is another player who should have been top 3 on your list of players to call back for a returning season here for 50. Genevieve Mushalok from Survivor 47 finished in 5th place, and she was a player that they were trying to get her out long before that 5th place finish. I mean, she was a very big threat throughout this game. And, if it wasn't for Rachel, if you switch spots and Rachel goes out at 5, who was obviously the winner of Survivor 47, and Genevieve, you switch spots and, Genevieve gets to that final 3, I think Genevieve wins, essentially the same way that Rachel did. And that's not taking anything away from, Sam is one of my favorite new era players as well, but that just says the game that Genevieve had played was very dominant and was a very big threat to win Survivor 47 and to as well in the final 3. But, that she is widely known, or widely respected, should I say, as one of the best new era players. And she got taken out at fifth place because she was a gigantic threat in this game and had iconic moves, throughout throughout her season of Survivor, and obviously being a part of Operation Italy, fake immunity idol as well. So really, really excited for Genevieve to come back out for Survivor 50. All right, so last couple players. We have Kyle Frazier, the winner of Survivor Season 48, coming back out. And again, I'd put him towards the top of the new era winners. I don't think that's recency bias either. I think I do like Kyle a lot, and I think some of it, for me personally, is because I think he played a game that I would love to play going out on Survivor, kind of playing the middle, and kind of similar to some other players that I've talked about throughout this list, is he gave himself multiple avenues. Like, he had his number one secret alliance with Camilla. Then he was in the majority alliance as well. So gave himself multiple opportunities to go to the end, different avenues, and thought he executed really well, did good in challenges as well. So I'm excited to see him coming back out for Survivor 50. Next up, Joe Hunter, obviously finished in third place on Survivor 48 and was a big part of the storyline of the whole season of 48. But I'm excited to see him come out here, obviously a big challenge threat as well. Him and Jonathan, probably and David from Survivor 48, probably the three biggest challenge beasts of the new era. So I'm excited to see Joe come out here. And also, I know this has kind of been talked about a lot by a lot of people that have talked about this season, but I'm excited to see how Joe does without that majority alliance that he had with Eva, with Kyle, with Shaheen. Kind of see him if he goes that route with, a new group of players, if he tries to find that, or people, obviously this cast has seen how he played. If, they don't know that, or they're like, we don't want Joe to get insulated like he did last time, and then help win challenges, then win the individual portions, and then him get to the end again. So I'm curious, again, how players will handle knowing how Joe played last time, and if he'll switch it up. Next up, my personal favorite player from Survivor Season 48, and that would be Camilla Carthagesu. Finished in fourth place, obviously, and it was widely known if she gets to that final tribal council instead of Kyle, she wins pretty handily, from what it sounds like. Even if she gets there with Kyle, I think it would have been a fighting chance. They probably were splitting votes, what we kind of talked about. We're not going to go through all of 48. Obviously, we just ended that season and talked about it as well, wrapped it up. So, but Camilla, I think she was very entertaining. Obviously, had that secret, alliance with Kyle, and was able to keep that and trust that alliance throughout the whole season. Since they linked up and formed that alliance. She obviously did well at immunity challenges as well. Felt that she was good socially, and I feel like she's very likable and can, ingratiate herself into multiple different, avenues, groups, alliances in the season. She is someone who is a master strategist. I mean, what did she? And she's not afraid to play. She's not afraid to play. I mean, look at what she said multiple times throughout her season 48 of Survivor. I mean, she kept talking about, like, my whole thing, I want to throw you under the bus, drive over you, back up, drive over you again. I mean, that's what we want to see on Survivor. And I think she's another good representative to go on Survivor Season 50. And then closing it out, we obviously won't, dive much into them because we don't know anything about them, but we will have two players from Survivor Season 49, obviously yet to air yet. But so that'll do it. That is the 24 cast members who will be on Survivor Season 50. Now, I'm sure we will do a handful of videos breaking down this entire cast as we move closer towards the season, as we have, about 9-ish months or so before this season even begins to hit our airwaves with the first episode. But just some names I'm watching for early on in terms of players I'm watching to go far. I'm not making any predictions, just players I think could go far in this game. Angelina, definitely throwing up there from David versus Goliath, obviously. And I think the new era players are going to do fairly well. I think Charlie, Tiffany, Genevieve, Camilla are a handful of players that I think from the new era that will go far. That's not saying the other ones won't do well also. But I think Sari will go far as well in this game early on. Obviously, a lot of this depends on where they get placed. And then Christian, as I said, he can fit into any alliance. Can he make the moves, though, to win this game? But I think he will go far in this game. But anyway, that'll do it. as we said, I guess I'll kind of close on this with people not really jiving, I guess, if you will, with this cast. Like I said, 97% of this cast, I am excited to see play again. Honestly, like I can only think of like one or two players that it's like, yeah, okay, yeah. But for the most part, I am very excited about seeing all these players play again. Now, I understand people's argument where this season had kind of been billed as like, getting legends back. So, we saw like Jerry Manthey talking about how she didn't get on, Abby Maria talking about how she didn't get on, other players and legends as well from early seasons, middle seasons as well, not getting on. But I think, obviously, I don't know if this is a placeholder name, the Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. I hope it is. I hope it's... I kind of don't think that it will be specifically called this because I believe that they're going to stick with the 3 tribes. But if this was billed as Survivor 50, old era versus new era, if it was billed as something like that, then I think this is a really good cast, and I would be very interested to see how that would play out. But given that it is, 3 tribes, unless they're still thinking about doing that, just not doing a specific kind of like how they did heroes versus villains, having, 10 heroes, 10 villains. Like, they don't have to necessarily do that. Say, Survivor 50, old era versus new era, and then these tribes are intermingled. As you got, if you have 3 tribes, you got 8 players per tribe for 24 people, and you have 12 original or old school era players, and then 12 new era players. And, so if you divide that up throughout the tribes, I mean, that could be a route that they go. But for what it seems like that the route that the Survivor 50 is going, I do like the cast. As I said, 98% of this cast I'm cool with for what they were going for. Obviously, like some of the legends that, we saw talk about not going out there, obviously would love to see them on the screen. Again, would have loved to see them out here for 50, but as Jeff has said multiple times, like, you can only put so many players out there. So I imagine it is a very tough casting process, but I think moral of the story of all this, and I think a handful of people have said this as well, but we just need more returning seasons. Like, I don't think it's too much to do. I know you still need to have new players coming in. I'm not saying that, but I like every 5-ish seasons, I think, throw some new era returning players in, should I say. Like for 55, maybe do a Second Chances Part 2 with Survivor 60, Heroes versus Villains 2, First Boot season, I think every 5, 7 seasons, however you want to, divide it up. I mean, if you don't even want to do by seasons, if you do, I think, yes, obviously the last one was Survivor 40, Winners at War. So obviously that's going on, 5 years now. I think that's a little bit too long. If you look at like maybe, if you're going by years instead of seasons, maybe every 3 years or so. I think that's a, decent timeline to get new players back in, because you can always be pulling players who I'm sure would still love to come out from, from the old school era, I guess, if you will. And then, there's been really good new era players as well that I think deserve a second chance to go out there. So really, I think moral of the story of all this is excited for season 50 of Survivor, excited for season 49 of Survivor that we still have before we see season 50. But overall, really like the cast and excited to see how everything plays out with Survivor 50. And as I said, we will talk about it multiple times throughout this summer as well. And then secondly, that we just need more returnee seasons so we can see more of our favorite players from Survivor on our TV screens again. But anyway, as I said, we will talk about Survivor 50 more as we move throughout this summer before we get into Survivor 49 in the fall, and then obviously leading up to Survivor 50 next spring. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. I know this was a little bit a long-winded video going through the cast here. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.